Hello, John. Delighted to be having a second chat with you, mate. Yourself
Yeah,
and Steve Evans here.
nice to see you, Terry. And you, Steve. He's okay.
Yeah, all good. Nice to see you as well, John. How's life in Liverpool? I'm assuming you're still in the Vauxhall Scotty Road area then?
Yeah, I'm up by the Mystery now, mate, by Blue Coat School.
Oh,
But
Waversley.
yeah. But it's all good. Same old, just plodding on.
As you do, yeah. So
And,
speaking of, I know you do this writing and all that, and you've done a lot of stuff in your time over the years. But have you got any hobbies outside of writing? Do you still go the match? Do you still do a bit of boxing?
yeah, well, I get the gym. I don't do the boxing anymore. I've only done that once, and I won't be. I won't be repeating that, mate. No chance. That was a bit of a midlife crisis. It was good, but never again. But yeah, I still try and get the gym, mate. And yeah, still going to match. And that's about it with the dog, so
Yeah, oh, of course, your dog. Yeah.
enough, like.
Yeah. So what's your favourite match recently then?
Recently.
Not having a bad season really so far, are we?
Yeah, too well.
It snapped your hands off, Steve. I didn't expect this, to be honest, with the sort of debacle in the transfer market and that. But I think this Soboslai kid looks brilliant. He looks fantastic. He's a proper find, and he's a good replacement for the number 8. I don't think we'll ever find another Gerrard, but where you can Keita at it for a few seasons, this kid looks like he deserves it. But it'd have to be Barcelona, wouldn't it? It'd have to be the 4-0 Barca. Yeah. In terms of like the best recent for me, because it was just I was doom and gloom, and then on the way to the match I think we knew Salah was out, but then Firmino we found out as we got to the ground was out, and it was just like this is a waste of time. You know what I mean? This could be a cricket score over 2 legs, and then there's not many teams who could turn out that performance. I don't think against Barcelona. So yeah, that's still rare. And then to go on and win it, obviously, because that would have been for nothing if we didn't win it. But yeah,
absolutely.
For me,
yeah, absolutely.
Now and again, I'll just stumble across it on YouTube or something, and I can't go past it. I've got to sort of invest the full time to watch. It's like Istanbul used to be, you know what I mean? You couldn't flick past. And that's the same for me, brilliant.
Were you at that match as well, Steve?
Yeah.
Wow.
Great,
yeah, that's the best thing I've seen on television. One of the games that, you think if you had a choice of games you could go to, that'd be the one. I can't imagine the atmosphere in there must have been brilliant.
It was even after it, Steve, when the players all come together, you don't get that either at many clubs, do you know what I mean? It was that euphoria. It weren't just in the stands, it was everywhere. It was on the pitch. It was, you'd have the kit men and everyone all in a lot. It was just like, you don't get that unity often, and it was like, a few bevies, a bit more emotional than that, but I'll never forget that,
So, John, before we talk about the relaunch of your novel, Jobe, tell us again about leaving school without any qualifications and yet ending up at Ruskin College in Oxford, studying creative writing. How did you get there?
Ruskin was for that. Ruskin was set up like 100 years ago, like a sort of John Ruskin's on it, the artist, and then it became like a sort of trade union. It was for people who did, not leave school because people didn't go to school 100 years ago, but, from certain backgrounds.
Yeah.
So it was made for people who didn't have a formal education. I was all right in school. I was a clever kid, but I was never there. So if it had been O-levels, if it had been your sort of generation, I'd have been all right because I'd done all right in the O-levels, but I was when GCSEs had come in. So it weren't just exam-based. You had to do your coursework, and I was never in school to do I think it's like a 60-40 split,
Yeah.
And I was never there to do the coursework, so they just didn't put me in for the exams. So I left school, and I don't blame them because it cost a lot of money to be putting kids in for each exam, and I didn't have the sort of GCSE, the coursework to the exam itself would have done nothing for me. So I left when I was 15 because there was no point in me staying there. So I've worked since I was 15, you know what I mean? And then I went to the Rotunda when I was about 21, 22 to get me English and maths. And I've always liked writing, but there was the chief executive or the top woman there at the time was a lady called Libby Mackay. unbelievable woman. And I got through the English and maths with Libby. And my uncle's mate was down in Ruskin. He was doing economics down there. And he says, my uncle was telling him, oh, John, blah, 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 writes little stories and this and that. And he says, you should get into the play down here. I was working on the railways at the time, and it was all agency work. So, you know, it's not like I had a proper job, earning good money, but I didn't have a proper job. It was all
no security with agency work.
Yeah, there was nothing to lose, Terry, you know what I mean? I could work down there with my tickets and that if I'd chosen to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just wrote, I had to write like a 2,000-word memoir autobiography to get into Ruskin and, you know, to get an interview and that. Yeah. Best thing I've ever done, really. Brilliant, you know, to get out of Liverpool, which I'd never been anywhere. Been on 18 to 30, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, and that was it. I'd never sort of been out of Liverpool. So just the experience and the ground and the opportunities it opens up, and that for me was unbelievable.
It's a brilliant achievement, just getting to go there and getting accepted into the college.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And then when I thought, like, this is amazing. And when I got there, I thought, God almighty, I'm, you know, I'm quite a well-rounded individual, really. But it was a good left. It was the last bastion, really, of left-wing education. And unfortunately, like everything, without getting too much into politics, you know, it's all moved to the centre. And where they used to advertise for places in the Daily Mirror, now they advertise in the Times, you know what I mean? And it's not what it was 20 odd years ago. I was probably on the last cusp, really. He was probably the last sort of group who got the real meaning of Ruskin and that sort of, I don't know, that left-leaning, good moral compass type of education, you know what I mean?
Proper socialist place, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Brilliant.
Okay.
You
ever thought about teaching creative writing for a living, like?
I don't know whether I'd make a living out of it, but yeah, I do little groups. It's something that I've done a couple of years before the lockdown. Started going into community centres. There are tons there to give a little bit back to them. A few community centres, one up in Kirby, a couple around Breck Road. I've finished one not long ago with an hour for others. Most of them are voluntary, to be honest, Steve, because there's not much funding out there, so I don't mind like giving a bit of my time, a couple of hours a week. But I've actually got a scheme of work in that now. I have like a 10-week body of work based around memoir writing. And as I say, some of it's funded, some of it's not. But I'm starting one in Kitty's Laundrette actually in the new year, so that'll be really good. And yeah, I enjoy that. I like sort of, I'm good at imparting knowledge, you know what I mean? If I do know something, I've got a good way of sharing it. And the sort of, you know, I don't do them in Allerton and Mossley, I do them around by ours and that. And I think when people hear the writers coming in, they're expecting a corduroy jacket with
the cravat.
And I'm coming in like a drink. So I think it puts people at ease straight away. You know, we all talk, you know, in the same voice and this and that.
Yeah.
So I think straight away people's at ease, and I use that to my benefit. I used to get away with murder in the schools. You know, I'd left school myself at 15 and then found myself teaching, you know, as a
ironic, isn't it?
If the kids knew, they'd be like, well, I'm not listening to him. Do you know what I mean? You know, to blag it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember you touching on it on the last talk, you know, but I wondered whether it was something you could consider doing as a living. But like you say, funding's limited.
To be honest, yeah. As I say, I have this like 10-week sort of scheme of work, which I can change and tailor now and again, but it's based around memoir writing. Because what I find, a lot of people want to write, but they don't know what to write about. So when you put it that it's their story and choose a little bit of their life, not an autobiography, but, you know, a little memoir, a little piece of your life, they fly, you know what I mean? Everyone's got a story to tell, and once they realise they can tell it, away they go. You don't have to do much, you know what I mean?
Onto your writing, all of your books, they're all set in Liverpool, all around the Everton Valley, Scotty Road, the Dockland areas. Is this a place where you grew up in? And with tales passed down through the family, you know, from your grandparents to your dad down to you, about this historic area of Liverpool that's since been, I don't know, it's been rerouted, hasn't it? It's been sort of disappeared, it's gone. Eldon Grove area, when that new tunnel went through, cutting Scotland Road in half.
Yeah, 100%.
All the pubs are shut down.
Decimated, you know. even when I was a kid, Scotty and you know, not so much Foxy, but Scotty was still busy and things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even after the tunnel. But it's just a gradual decline, and a lack of investment. And, you know, it's Scotty's not on its own with that, obviously, like, but yeah, it's been decimated. And I think it was quite a cynical ploy. I think the tunnel, obviously, it's on the edge of town, so, you know, you can see that there's a logic behind putting it there. But it decimated, didn't it? It decimated an enormous historical area of value, you know what I mean? And, you know, it's been good for other places like Kirby and Speak, because people moved out and created new communities in them areas type of thing. But it is sad when you look back. You know, we're all rosy and easy lives, but it was a really, really strong community.
Do you still call the new tunnel, even though it's like I do, it's over 50 years old, but to me it's the new one?
100%, yeah, it's the new tunnel. Yeah, it always will be, won't it? You know, it was probably built before I was born, but it's still the new tunnel, you know, yeah.
I remember going to my grandmother's in Eldon Grove. We had to go around the Wales to get to hers. Once, you know, all the digging out and all the excavations.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was like a war zone trying to get there.
Yeah.
My dad was involved in building the motorway and the tunnel back in the day. So that was in the early 70s. Yeah.
It's a part of history, isn't it? Being involved in something like that, do you know what I mean? We're talking in quite a negative point of view, but I suppose if back in the day, if you used that, or you had to get the ferry, or use the Isle tunnel and that, it was, you know, must have been a revelation, mustn't it, from that point of view. Going back to what you've just been saying about stories getting passed down and things, 100%. I think I speak about a lot of this when I'm in my little memoir groups and that. I'm probably one of the last generations who sort of grew up in houses where generations of families would be there. Like, it wouldn't just be your nan's 3 brothers would be there, and so we'd be hearing all kinds. And I was like a sponge when I was a kid, you know, I was quite observant, I'd take a lot in. So yeah, I've took loads and loads of stuff like that and regurgitated, and some have just left exactly how it is, because you just don't have to do anything with it. And others have, as you know yourself, you know, you spice little bits up, you take a bit here and there. But the historical point of view in that, it was based on Jobe, was based on sort of my maternal great grandfather. And whether we spoke about this last time, because we didn't really cover Jobe. But he was sort of, he was a bright kid by all accounts, but his dad married another woman and just ostracised his first family, which used to happen quite a lot apparently. And he passed it, I don't think it was the 11 plus at the time, you know, but he passed and couldn't go into the grammar schools, and then his dad wouldn't fund it. So he ended up in the lodging houses when he was about 11, working down the docks and fending for himself from 11. And then went on to have a family of, you know what, off the top of my head, 7 kids and a wife, and, you know, was down the docks and was big in the sort of dockers union. So from fending for yourself, he could have easily just been a statistic or an headstone, you know, in St. James's Cemetery or something, which unfortunately there's so many of. But he battled through from 11 on his own in that psycho, like, Victorian environment, living in lodging houses, going scraping a living down the docks, whatever he used to do. And then, you know, passed away at a ripe old age after leaving a massive legacy of family, and it just fascinated me, and that's what Jobe was based on loosely.
Can you imagine a kid at that age now living up by his own wits, an 11-year-old? You know, they want mum and dad to pick them up first to take them to the DOS house. They'd be looking for a new mobile phone. Just wouldn't happen.
You can't imagine it, could you? You really, it's so far removed from even our own experiences. You know, life's hard for everyone, but to do that, and, like, you know, when I'm researching Jobe and the perils of what was about, and the docks themselves and the lodging houses, you know, 30 men to a room, it beggars belief. And obviously, we weren't alone. You know, that's the old title was obviously the beginning of the Liverpool Legends. I think anyone who's come through that time, even these times, it's difficult enough. They're all legends in their own right in that sense, you know, because it just must have been so hard. You know, every day from opening your eyes to shutting them is an absolute slog.
Just talking about your books, I mean, your series of books are there. I got a little bit confused as to why you've taken one off the shelves and so on.
Yeah, it's caused a lot of confusion, to be honest, even in your own head. I brought Jobe out, obviously, on myself, and I was just completely isolated, didn't really know what I was doing. Brought it out. It was quite well received, to be honest. I had no barometer. I listened to the ladies in News from Nowhere and things like that, and sales, and it was quite well received. Well received on Amazon with reviews. People, it got a little bit of a buzz in the little Facebook community, you know what I mean? So on the back of that, I wrote Jobe 2. And again, threw it out there. But just as I'd done Jobe 2, I was approached by an independent publisher and decided to go with them. Fantastic, good models and all that. Really liked them. Went with them, and it didn't really work out. So I took Jobe 2. I sort of explained, look, Jobe 2 is just at the shelves. I don't mind taking that off the shelves because I don't want to sell it myself, make all the money, and then come with you, at a later stage when we finish with Jobe 1.
Yeah.
So I've done that, and it didn't really work out. So I was betwixt and between, as I say, because quite isolated, not much advice, didn't know anyone really, and I was approached then by an agent who really liked Jobe. So they advised me, listen, why don't we come away from this independent and we'll sell Jobe, no problem. No guarantees or nothing like that, because it's a difficult sort of space, isn't it? Trying to get a publisher. Yeah. So there's no guarantees, but it's like, look, I'm confident I can sell this for you. So I went that way. So from Jobe being out there and on the shelves and quite current and getting spoke about, it just disappeared. It come off the shelves and went for a long time looking for someone a publisher, and it didn't happen. Loads of really strong positive feedback. Even the Dean Dorries, not blocked it personally, but her publisher was worried to take it on, even though they really liked it. Didn't want to go toe-to-toe with Nadine Dorries because apparently she doesn't want much competition in her in her area, which was low. And then a lot of publishers wouldn't take it on because Jobe, even though there's loads of really strong females throughout both books, the main protagonist is obviously a male, and he was like, that just won't sell. It's a female-dominated market. So if Jobe was a Joan or a Jenny, it would have been took on, but it wasn't. And I'd wrote dogs in this time, so I still had 2 books, and then I had dogs, and none of them was out. I'd had 3 books all through lockdown, and it had been a couple of years, so I just decided to part ways, really amicably and really nicely with my agent. And go it alone, basically. So I couldn't have just brought Jobe back out in the guise it was in its original form. So I decided to revise it, rewrite little bits, which has made it a lot stronger, to be honest, and needed doing. So quite a long-winded answer, but hopefully all round the block. But that's why, because it died a death, and I weren't prepared to let 2 books just go into the header, you know what I mean? I wanted them back out there. So I'm not making a big song and dance, to be honest, about it being back out there. Being quite honest with people, look, if you've read Jobe, the beginning of A Little Legend, you don't really need to read the book of Jobe. So that's where we are. I just wanted them back out there. I wanted it tight, and I've learned an hell of a lot more since I wrote Jobe, and I've put, hopefully it is a better book now.
Yeah, it must have been massively frustrating at the time having to do it, though. You're like torn apart, I suppose, in some respects.
It really was, because it felt like it took 3 steps forward, which was 10 marathons back to back, just to get them 3 steps forward, and then got almighty knocked back, a good dozen.
Yeah.
So it was, but I've hopefully put that behind me now, and I've got this Jobe song tomorrow. I've got Jobe 2 ready to go before Christmas, and I'm currently writing the trilogy now, so I can just finish it, put it behind me, and then maybe with my next book, get back into the sort of that horrible world of agents and publishers. And
you talked about going down the indie route for publication. There's a new cover. Who's worked on the cover for you? Have you done that yourself? Have you done the editing yourself? Have you had a fresh pair of eyes going over the script?
Yeah, I've had a few sort of good, trustworthy beta readers, who I think the phrase is, you know what I mean? You like to do it and really enjoy it. and the cover, I took that myself. That's a weird little box on the mystery, Terry.
Is it?
It's a weird little box, and it's got a little spout coming out of it, and it's got that coat of arms on it.
Whereabouts in the mystery of it? There's about 5 different ways to get into the park, isn't there?
It's off Grant Avenue. It's just right by Blue Coat School.
Behind the school, there's like, yeah, I can see the main gates in my mind's eye now. I used to take my dog for a walk over there. I can't think we're saying that. I'm going to go and look for that now you mentioned it.
It's bizarre. It's got a big wooden pole by it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was to do with the Liverpool show back in the day about how, and I've researched and tried to look into it and what this actual little metal cast iron box was.
Yeah.
But I've no idea. But it's cracker. Honestly, you just wouldn't notice it. People probably walk past it a million times a day, like with a lot of stuff in Liverpool. But I took the photograph and then got a graphic designer to sort of. I wanted it to look like I don't know whether it's worked or not, to be honest, but I wanted it to look just like the Book of Jobe, like it's an old, an authentic, old-fashioned book, what's being gathered and dust in a loft somewhere. Yeah. Whether it's work, because you'd have to trust Amazon on what they do with the cover and this. That's
true,
that. Yeah.
No, but I do like the sound of that, and I'm going to go look for that now.
Yeah, it is clack, I like.
Yeah. I was going to touch on what you're working on now, but you're obviously concentrating on the trilogy, aren't you? And getting that out there.
Yeah. I want it done. If it did get picked up, I'd carry on because there's so much, Steve. You know what I mean? It doesn't write itself, but with a bit of research and that, there's so much out there that you can. I said last time to you, didn't I? It's a bit like cheating. You know what I mean? Because you're looking at this this historical stuff that really happens, and you just take a little bit from here and there. You're weaving your characters through. You know, you're weaving your fictional characters through these amazing historical characters.
But that adds an element of authenticity to it. You know, the truth is there are real places, real occupations, real situations.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's a lot of the positivity I get back, to be honest, is and it's the research that goes into it and make sure, you know what I mean. I thought when Jobe first come out, I'd have all these historical history buffs and getting in touch with me and saying you're wrong about that. I never got anything because I made sure that I was so put in it. It takes an awful lot of time, you know what I mean? It's enjoyable, but it does take time. And sometimes I'll be looking sort of I don't know, St. George's Hall, and then I'll find myself just on a tangent an hour and a half later. I haven't wrote a word. Yeah. But I've read all this stuff. What's got nothing to do with the book. Yeah. But it's just fascinating. It's such a rich history. It's unbelievable.
Okay. Can I ask about the promotions then? We've connected on, well, first of all on Facebook, now on Twitter. Are you using other social media for book promotions?
I'm not great, Terry, to be honest, but a lot of it doesn't work for me. Like I'll see other writers put something on Twitter, and I don't know it's me, and they've got a following or what. Yeah. But you know, writers, you know, who's just normal. You know, they're not sort of, I don't know, they're not Conigledons. You know what I mean? They're just having a go, and they get likes on Twitter or Instagram. Yeah. I find it doesn't work for me. It's only Facebook that works for me. Yeah. Because I'm not sort of. I've read a lot of stuff, to be honest, and you know, research how to use social media for independent writers and blah, blah, blah.
It can take over full time, though, you know, to a certain extent. You've got to stand back from it. But I know it is slightly essential, I'd say.
Oh, very essential. But it's a lot of manipulation, and it's not for me, you know what I mean? I like Facebook because you can be honest with people, and then people can contact you. You know, you can have a chat and you can have that bit of interaction. Like there was a bit of confusion about the Book of Jobe, and you know, through chatting with people, cleared it up. I feel you don't get that on any other sort of form. And also, no disrespect, because I'm the same generation. I find a lot of us older, our generation, you know what I mean, 40 plus, are on Facebook more and Instagram. I might be wrong. Instagram and Twitter is a bit more sort of younger audiences and less. I think you're right. Less interaction. So for me, and what I'm trying to provide to people, it's a certain generation what enjoy Jobe, because even though it's 1890s, it's quite close to how they grew up in the 50s, or you know, obviously the technology had changed, but folk was pretty much living the same lives as the folk then, you know. So Facebook for me, 100%.
Just saying, it actually sounds like a book in the Bible, doesn't it? The Book of Jobe. I wonder if that piques people's interest, because they say, what's this about, like?
Yeah, We spoke last time about the title, didn't we? And it was like, people ask me, what's your book called? And I'd have to give them this half a paragraph. I'm in a writing group, like, and they're like, oh, please cut your sentences down, John. And I'm like, well, look at the title of that. You know, I haven't got the ability. But I like the Book of Job, yeah, and I do play on that. His name is Job for a reason, you know, and it does sort of play on Job. It's the Book of Job in the Bible, isn't it?
Yeah.
But its sort of name is derived from, Job is derived from Job, and I touch on that in the second book, why his name's Job, and it works quite well, to be honest, yeah. I really like the title. I was never comfortable with the first title or the first cover, to be honest. But I do like this one, whether it's just me, but
I like both of them, John. I'm looking at it now. They've got standing with the George's Hall behind them. You got the docks. You see the Mersey. I like both of them.
Yeah, he done the lad who done the first cover done brilliant, and he done for nothing at the time, you know.
Lucky there.
Design. I literally just he was a fellow dog walking in the park. He used to walk around when I dropped our Evie off at school. And,
that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I didn't tell anyone what I'd done, Steve. People must have just thought like I was on the dole or something. I don't know. They must have in his shorts every day, life at Isley. Doesn't seem to have a care in the world. On this particular day, he asked me what I was up to, and I said, "Oh, you know, I've just finished a manuscript and I've got a printed copy for the first time." He was like, "A manuscript," and he was like, "So you wrote a book?" And it was the first time I'd said it out loud, really, to strangers.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that he was a graphic designer, and he said, "Look, I explained to him I'd come out of work, didn't know what to do, so I wrote a book." And he offered to do the cover for me. I always said to him, "Look, if I ever make a few quid, I'll weigh it in." And I did a ghostwriting project. I wrote a novel in someone else's name and got a few quid for it. So I was lucky enough I was able to weigh him in. But for him to just
that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
For him to just do that off his own back was fantastic. Like, yeah.
Yeah, superb. That's a great story, that, isn't it? Yeah. Superb. So what's your actual writing routine? Do you sit down every day, or do you just do it on the spur of the moment because you've got family, obviously, to worry about? So how do you get on?
Yeah, sometimes it is quite difficult, and I find myself at the minute, to be honest, because I've obviously had a little breakaway and that, but even before the breakaway, I weren't in much of a routine. But what I like to do, in a perfect world, I'll get up at about 6 before anyone else is staying in the house, and I'll have them first couple of hours to myself. And sometimes I can knock 1,000 words out in that couple of early hours. And other times I'm still here at 4 o'clock, and I've deleted more than I've wrote. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so and I find that sometimes, like, I'll wake up. You know, I'll wake up at 2 in the morning. No, I'm not getting back to sleep, and I'll come down and write, and it'll be magical. And I'll think, well, I've cracked it now. That's how you do it, but it's not. Do you know what I mean? Or Liverpool will get beaten. I'll think, well, I'll just close myself off and do a bit of writing, and that'll be magical. And I'll think, well, that's how you do it. I've cracked it, but it's not. It's just slog. It's just hard work, isn't it?
And then you've got Natalie coming downstairs. Will you come back to bed?
Which is what happens. I'll be like, especially with Jobe, you know, I'll be somewhere I say this to the kids, I've just been on the Dock Road in 1893. And if you're asking for pesto and pasta, and it's gone out, you know what I mean? And there's a film named Dalton Trumbo, I can't remember what it's called. It's about the McCarthyism in America.
Yeah, he was blacklisted, wasn't he? It was the guy who was in Walter Mitty.
He's Malcolm in the Middle's dad. He's
that's him.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad, that's it. He's brilliant. There's a scene, Terry,
I love that film.
There's a scene where he's in the back and it's
typing.
And she comes up with a cake on the birthday, as if, like, you know, I sort of taped that on my phone and sent it to them all. Like, look, this is how these proper writers roll, you know. But I haven't got a study, you know, and I'm speaking to you where I write. It's our dining room, it's our dining table. So I'm in the middle of just, you know, I'm in the middle of the house's craziness all the time. That's why them little early hours you know what I mean?
What are your ambitions as a writer? Is it to get your work out there on a big screen, like every writer's dream?
Well, that's the
Yeah.
dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd like to get a body of work. I like writing about Liverpool, Terry. And we said earlier about like I write about historical Liverpool in a particular area.
Yeah.
That ghost novel I done, that was literally global. You know what I mean? It took in America, Australia, you know. So I'm not London, so I know I can write, you know, in any kind of area, and I can do a bit of research, and I can just make things up like we all do, creative writing. So I know I can do it. I know I can set scenes in other countries and other places. But I love Liverpool, do you know what I mean? Like we all do, and I enjoy writing about it. It's easier for me, do you know what I mean? I don't know whether that sort of makes sense, but
no, it does perfect sense to me. Yeah,
you know,
you know, you're right about what you know, don't you? That's instinctively.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And I like that. I would love to just be a local writer. Not known as a local writer, you know what I mean? But I love people in Liverpool to know my books and to respect, you know, like the old famous Ellen Forrester books. And
Something across the Mersey. And
so just to be synonymous, and even not so much the big screen, obviously financially wise, I'd love them to. I'd just love one of them to be on in the Empire or the Royal.
Well, that's it. Ellen Forrester's stuff been on theatre. It's all over. It's getting copied now, even. You know.
I'd love to be, I don't know, on the 79 going through town and see a big and I'd love that experience of going, you know, with my family. A lot of my family don't read and they don't particularly know what to do. And they know I don't make millions of pounds, so they're not particularly bothered. But, you know, if we had one of them nights and we was all there in the Royal Court and, you know, you'd share. It'd be like that Barcelona game we were speaking about. You know,
it would be.
Sharing that sort of moment. Like, it's great getting feedback, as you know yourself, from someone's read your book, like, oh, I love that it's boss, you know, it's a little ego massage and it makes it all worthwhile. But I'd love that sort of, that theatre experience. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, that'd be made up to see like that on the side of a bus. I'd be like, I'm here, I've done it.
It'd be amazing. It really would.
Superb. So finally from me, because we are pushing time now, what advice do you give to a new writer who's going to write his book for the first time, or her book for the first time?
It's a good question, isn't it? Do you know, well, I do this because people do, you know, sort of sometimes get in touch or they have little creative writing. You've got to just write. You've got to be bloody minded. Not delete, not scrunch stuff up, put it in the bin. Just keep writing. But I think all writers would say that. So I'd also add to that, don't look on these internet, write by numbers and do this and then do that, because it's an industry on its own, and it's a racket. It's just an inflated industry, these things that tell you how to write step by step. You know, it's all good and well Googling for a bit of advice, but I think personally, because I did get stuck in it a little bit because I was so isolated and I'd look for stuff, I just wouldn't enter into that at all until you've got a big body of work and you know who you are as a writer and what you want to say. I wouldn't get embroiled in any of these website downloads and email things, what they email you 24 times a day with a different one to write a scene and prompts. I just wouldn't go near them until you know who you are and you're not going to get stuck in the wood for the trees with them. Keep writing, because you've got to keep writing, but stay clear of all them internet charlatans who want to teach you how to paint by numbers but write by numbers. Because I'm sure a lot of them know their onions, but it's just a money making scheme. You can get stuck in it.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from. Somebody said to me the other day, writing a book's like doing maths. It's a maths algorithm and all that. I'm like, whoa, where's all that come from?
Don't know about
making it really complex, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, that's what they're trying to sell. Yeah, they're trying to, like, you know, and a lot of them do it for free, but it's advertising and all that. But you really can get embroiled, and it can knock your confidence and make you think you're doing things the wrong way. And I don't subscribe to any of that, which might sound a bit arrogant, because, you know, I certainly can't write better.
No, not at all.
You have your voice, and if you can write a little bit, you don't need all that. You just write, and you'll get advice from friends and beta readers and this and that. So, you know, just keep and stay away from them and try and have a good little circle around you.
That's excellent advice. Yeah, it is indeed. Yeah, but John, as we mentioned, Sam's caught up with us. But listen, thanks once again. I've really enjoyed this, and let's keep in touch. And we've got our third chat.
I appreciate it. I know this isn't the second time. Like, I feel quite honoured to be getting brought back. So
delighted that you're on.
Yeah, nice one. Flies over, doesn't it? It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Goes, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's caught up. But listen, thanks very much, John. Let's keep in touch, mate.
Nice one. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Cheers.
Good to see you again.
Ta-ra for now.